Welcome to Do Beautiful Things. I'm your host, Jenny Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful. In this podcast, we'll discuss ending litter, the truth behind recycling, and making communities beautiful for people and for a more sustainable future. We'll be talking to industry experts, community leaders, and everyday people who want to do the right thing, including from time to time, my mother. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something, and I know I will.
Hello, and welcome back to Do Beautiful Things. In our last episode, we talked with Christina Porter, board chair of Keep Oakland Beautiful. Christina shared how a Keep America Beautiful Martin Luther King Jr. Community Improvement Grant helped to fund a mural project aimed at restoring and celebrating the oldest Black-owned bookstore in the country and its neighboring community in Oakland, California. Today, we're going to widen our lens and speak to Oakland's Deputy Mayor, Dr. Kimberly Mayfield. We'll learn more about the challenges Oakland is experiencing and the opportunities for change offered by efforts to make their community cleaner, greener, and more beautiful. In her role as Deputy Mayor, Dr. Mayfield works with Oakland's Mayor Tao on many projects, including partnerships with education, nonprofits, community leaders. She's a published author and a longtime community activist. Dr. Mayfield was the first African American to earn tenure at Holy Names University and recently served as the Dean of the School of Education and Liberal Arts and Vice President of External Relations and Strategic Partnerships. Welcome, Dr. Mayfield.
Thank you, Jennifer. So nice to be here today.
Well, we are happy to have you, and thank you for all that you're doing in Oakland. Maybe start out by just telling us a little more about your role as Deputy Mayor and how long you've been in the position.
Yes, so I just celebrated a year. I started in February of last year, and I do a lot of external work, maintaining relationships and special projects. When Mayor Tao and I talked about me in this role, I was very explicit about wanting to touch many areas in society that stabilize the lives of children so that when they go to school, they can benefit from the good education that they're receiving. So it's sort of how I institutionalize my commitment to education. I spent 20 years of my life at Holy Names University educating citizens to become teachers in our local community, and many of them became teachers in Oakland. So I know what happens in the classroom, and I also know how what happens outside of the classroom can impact the lives of children.
Yeah, I mean, there's really amazing data that's out there these days about how initiatives that support cleaner, greener, and more beautiful communities actually have economic, social, health, and well-being value. We at Keep America Beautiful, working with Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, it was actually their study with the University of Michigan, saw that when you moved a brown space, unused space to a green space, that you could reduce assault and gun violence in those communities by 12%. And to me, with the state of any national gun laws, like that's a profound effect on a community to be able to plant trees and improve the environment and get those kind of outcomes is really powerful. And in fact, they spread for about a half a mile around that green space. So really created zones of caring and concern. And I know that's a lot of what you're working on in Oakland. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of those?
Yes, extending on what you said about brown communities, we approach everything in Oakland through an equity lens. And so what we've done is look at the areas of the city that have the largest canopy and the areas where the canopy has eroded over time or is not present. We have limited resources, and so we wanted to deploy them to the neighborhoods that could benefit most sort of evidently. And Oakland is a city that has flatlands, slopes, and hills. By looking at zip codes, we can see where there are fewer trees, and typically the higher you go, the wealthier the communities are. And we've noticed that they've maintained their canopy. They have tree-lined streets, parks that are maintained, and so forth. When I was growing up in the flatlands, I had a tree-lined street as well. But over time, things happened. Someone ran into the tree in front of our house and knocked it over, and it didn't get replenished. And so with the equity work that we've done, we've noticed that primarily in the flatter areas, which coincide with race and wealth, it's where more of our citizens of color live, that the canopy is not there. So we did, as a city, apply for a U.S. Department of Forestry grant, and we received $8 million. And so half of that is going to support efforts to plant trees. But what we know about trees is they have to be maintained. They have to be pruned. They have to be tended to. And so the other half of those dollars goes to maintaining the trees. And we have an urban forestry program where we're really focused on attracting African American citizens to learn about urban forestry and become arborists, because with planting these trees, knowing they'll have to be maintained, we see that we have to cultivate a group of businesses that can be competitive for city contracts around that. And with an eye on the racial wealth gap, we want to build wealth in African American families and in the African American community.
That's just so very interesting. I think the work that we did at Keep Indianapolis Beautiful, the work that they did, took a very similar model and actually used the sort of other half of those funds to develop a summer jobs program for young people that really trained them on how to manage urban canopies and urban trees so that they could start businesses and support businesses that were existing in the community to do that work, offering, economic opportunity sparked by the grant, but really going, pretty far beyond that, in a similar sort of layering of demographic and economic information in choosing those locations. So kudos to you. I've also heard there's some local university women who may be involved as well. That the Alpha Kappa Alpha women show up in the most unusual places. What are they doing with you in Oakland?
Well, we do have an international initiative as part of our international programming to green our communities. So right now there are over 1,000 Alpha Kappa Alpha chapters globally, and our international president, Danette Anthony Reed, has made greening our communities a priority. So in the local community of Oakland, the chapters have reached out to the city to leverage the efforts. This is something where we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Prior to 2008, the city had a very robust program around maintaining and planting trees that eroded over time with budget cuts and things like that. And so as we see that the city is more focused on planting trees, we see opportunities to partner and to be the boots on the ground for the actual planting in neighborhoods. So we're really excited about that initiative and being able to do something that has lasting change. So while this international president has highlighted tree planting because of all of the benefits that you mentioned, reduction of crime, it helps maintain climate, and really helpful for mental health, this is a platform initiative that can live beyond her leadership and really institutionalize this great way of feeling in communities. And in Oakland, again, we've noticed that it's mostly our communities of color, where the canopy is not as present. And so having the trees in those neighborhoods will improve the overall quality of life.
We just had our national conference for Keep America Beautiful. And one of our guest speakers was Dr. Bhatnagar out of the University of Louisville. And he is actually doing a longitudinal study looking at he's a cardiologist, looking at the heart health benefits of trees and finding some really interesting results. And so, again, I think it's a really forward-thinking initiative because, trees take a long time to grow to really start providing those benefits. And to start off, start on that journey is really admirable. So there's another initiative that I understand there are several leaders around the state following and participating in, Oakland Fresh. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about this city initiative and what's the goal and who's involved?
Absolutely. So we've noticed that our city is just not as clean as it once was. Lots of debris, things associated with our housing encampments. And so we wanted to really figure out how can we engage community to work with the city to really beautify our city and really to freshen it up, which is where Oakland Fresh comes from. So on January 15th, in alignment with MLK Day being a day on of service versus being a day off, we launched our Oakland Fresh initiative. And it's designed to really remove debris, to remove abandoned cars, to address graffiti. And the city has all of the materials that one would use to do that work. So, things to pick up trash, gloves, trash bags, vests, and things like that. And so our hope and what we've seen is that community members are really taking ownership of where they live or where they worship. And so you can adopt a neighborhood, you can adopt a drain. It's part of our adopt a spot idea. And so what we've noticed is that our neighborhood planning councils are one place to start because we really wanted to leverage the community engagement that we see for National Night Out. So we were thinking, hey, if there are neighborhood captains who will mobilize for that, maybe we can engage them to do community cleanups. And we've seen great results. And interestingly enough, the places that have the receding canopy, however we talk about that, also happen to be some of the places where we see abandoned cars, we see heightened graffiti and trash. So we're able to really infuse those neighborhoods with resources and momentum to, again, have clean, fresh air, to have visually appealing surroundings, which we know, as we've talked about, really work to improve quality of life, feelings of safety, stronger mental health, and also climate.
Yeah, I think you've basically just laid out the strategic plan for Keep America Beautiful. So thank you. That's it. Let's go out and get it done. You're exactly right. What our litter data has shown over the years is where there's litter, more litter is collected, right? So where things are litter free, the dynamic of the people going through those communities is, this is not a place where litter is acceptable, right? And so they become places where litter isn't acceptable. And that's the ongoing hope and goal for Keep America Beautiful, is to really work around those places, but also really understanding all of the stakeholders that come together to make that ongoing care of community sustainable, right? So completely agree with how you're approaching some of this work and the many, many stakeholders that are involved. So oftentimes we talk about our work and have an ongoing debate. Are we an environmental organization or are we a community pride building organization, because a lot of our work is pretty fluid across those two goals, which of any of us that get in there and get our hands dirty, they're one and the same. And to make them sustainable, either one, you really need to build that community pride and stakeholder engagement so people can see themselves in the work that they're doing.
Almost on a weekly basis, I engage with community members who have ideas around how to beautify Oakland. Just on Saturday, I was at an event and I was sitting with a woman who grew up in Oakland, but now lives in Hercules. She still goes to church in Oakland. And she said, now that I'm retired, I have this idea of working with churches to identify one member that would agree to clean just even the block that the church is on. And I was like, that's fantastic. Let me tell you about what the city of Oakland is doing so that we can leverage this community momentum and efforts. And she's just one person. We have the Oakland Private Industries Council, and they are working with community members who are formerly incarcerated. They served their time. They came home and they said, Oakland does not look the way it did when I left. And now that I have paid my debt to society, I want to give back to Oakland, and I want it to look fresh and clean like it did when I went away. And I want to engage young people who might be sort of tantalized by other activities that don't lead to a feeling of safety. I want to engage them in cleaning up and beautification of the city so that they have the feeling of pride in where they live. And it's really a cultural shift, because we used to have the culture of the pride of home ownership and really keeping neighborhoods clean. And for some reason over time, that has waned. And so people from different segments of the community coming home and wanting to clean, wanting to power wash, wanting to create that environment of this is a clean place. So if I drop a piece of trash, I need to model picking it up to maintain what's already here. And that's really where we feel the tension, because we have city departments who clean the community. Maintaining the cleanliness is our charge now, because people will say to me, well, Oakland is so dirty. What are you guys doing? And I go, well, it's not that we aren't cleaning. Oakland Public Works has a schedule. They go out, they clean. We need partnership and collaboration with community to maintain the environment once it's brought to that standard of cleanliness.
Thank you. And it's wonderful. And I think that idea of maintaining and that being the role of community, it certainly delivers on a cleaner community, but it also invites people to more regularly connect with each other, which again, kind of back to really strengthening those core relationships among people as a way that fosters that sort of sense of shared caring and shared responsibility. So really very interesting. Dr. Mayfield, this has been a great conversation. I have absolutely loved listening to you and all that you're working on, and we wish you all the very best for your continuing success. Is there a place that our listeners can learn a little more about what's happening?
Yes. If they go to the Oakland City website and just put Oakland Fresh in the search bar, they'll be able to see some of the work that we're doing. Also, if they go to OakDOT, our Oakland Transportation Department, there's more information there as well. I just wanted to underscore something that you just said around neighbors getting to know each other outside doing something. And I think this initiative is really powerful for that, coming out of COVID, where a lot of people have moved to the city but weren't able to develop those relationships right where they live.
Thank you for that, and thank you for all you're doing. And I do hope we can stay in touch and keep doing beautiful things.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a great conversation. Thank you again, Dr. Mayfield. And thank you all for joining us today. I hope you were as inspired by Dr. Mayfield as I was. There's important work to do in Oakland, and her vision and energy certainly bring the right set of skills to the task. If you're eager to contribute to your community, consider participating in the Great American Cleanup. This program runs from the first day of spring on March 19th to the first day of summer on June 20th. Keep America Beautiful invites you to take part in this annual spring cleaning initiative aimed at cleaning and greening neighborhoods across America. Head over to KAB.org to learn more about the Great American Cleanup and how you can get involved. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for Do Beautiful Things, as we'll be talking more about the Great American Cleanup in upcoming episodes. Thank you for being with us today, and until next time, take care, stay informed, and let's keep doing beautiful things together. See you in the next episode.